So, welcome back to Sound Bites, the show about good people doing good things in the local food and drink industry. It's my pleasure today to welcome Amy Savoury, who's a well known sommelier based in the Annapolis Valley, and Haley Brown, who's the executive director of Wine Growers Nova Scotia. We're going to talk a little bit today about Tidal Bay. So, it's exciting times. And I say first maybe to Haley because what does Tidal Bay represent to our wine industry here in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, Tidal Bay is incredibly special, and it the concept of Tidal Bay started well before my entry to the industry, but it very much when you talk to the sommeliers or the wine growers or when you talk to the industry, it really how they describe it as sort of Nova Scotia in a glass. And the concept was formed by some entrepreneurs, and they came together as an industry to create this appellation. Very similar to what the old world wines, Prosecco in Italy and Chianti and Champagne in France, and it very much is a differentiator for our industry. We are the only appellation. Tidal Bay is the only appellation in North America, which makes it very special, and our wine region incredibly special. And I know our wineries, our grape growers, everyone involved in the industry have embraced it, championed it, and it very much is a special wine for all of us.
Yeah, it's definitely an important piece of our industry, and certainly an interesting one in the context, as you say, of in being in North America. We don't really have appellations much like the old world, but I think what we can say is that Tidal Bay really is modeled after a European model. So, Amy, your career is based on talking to youth and educating our younger hospitality students. So, you must feel the excitement year in and year out about the release of Tidal Bay. Are you feeling that again this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say this is my favorite time of the year, right? When the new Tidal Bays get released and and folks get to try them for the first time. And I think it's so exciting to grab a number of them and try them and see the expression of the whole province and how each winery has their own take on that. So Tidal Bay, it's fresh, it's exciting, and it really is what we do best here. And especially now with summer foods and the seafoods here in the province, right? It really is kind of a best example of what we have from a food and a wine perspective.
So, and Haley, maybe you can tell us. So, it varies year to year based on how many wineries get the designation. How many do we have this year that have got earned the right? Because it really is earning the right, right?
Yeah, it's 14 wineries have submitted, samples to be tested by the ITP panel, and we have 14 Tidal Bays this year. We have both it in the sort of 750 ml format, glass format, and some of them are continuing with the can format as well.
Great. Well, so I think how are people reacting to the can? Because obviously, as someone that cares about impact of our industry on climate, the opportunity to have wine in easily recyclable materials and packaging is exciting. Are you feeling that too, Amy? Where are we seeing the younger students being more accepting of alternative packaging?
Yeah, most definitely. In the classroom, right, we brought just did a tasting of some of the Tidal Bays in a can, and from their perspective, it allows them to try because it's a smaller format, they're able to try more than one more economically than buying a full bottle. And so, absolutely, taste wise, we even did a bottle versus can, and it was a really great experiment to do in the classroom, and there was really virtually no difference. And so, we were able to try many more than the same value of price, they could try 3 different ones and compare them.
Yep, it's amazing. I think, with both from the climate change perspective and the fact is that we're more and more looking for balanced lifestyles and not having to open a full bottle of wine. It's a great thing for the industry, and hopefully we'll have it's nice to see Nova Scotia leading the charge in a lot of things. So where Tidal Bay is an appellation, the leading the charge that way, but also leading the charge in terms of being sensitive to the environment and looking at alternative ways to bring wine into the mix, in different packaging. So Haley, this has been let's say a challenging year. How are the wineries doing? We had the polar vortex earlier this year, which did a lot of damage to our vines. Are we a little further ahead in knowing how extensive the damage is to the industry?
Yeah, I think, June is going to be a critical month, and we're just entering it now. But this is where we can really take a look at the buds and see what the damage really is. In all honesty, it won't be just June, but we'll continue to assess the damage throughout the year and even beyond to see, what could be the potential long-term effects of it. But, the polar vortex wasn't, isolated to just Nova Scotia. It was across Canada. What was particularly unique for Nova Scotia was that the vortex was held. There's a southerly front as well, and it held the vortex on top of Nova Scotia just a little bit longer, and so that's why we see the damage just a little bit more extreme here in Nova Scotia. So when we say vinifera, that's a very wine term, but that's Chardonnay, those type of grapes. We've seen more significant damage with those than the hybrids like a Lackady or anything that tends to be a bit more hardier.
Right, and I'm sure having an exceptionally warm December and January did not help the cause.
No, exactly. It was compounded things. There was no snow cover. The vines weren't hardy like that cold hardiness. They were soft. There was no snow cover, and so it was just a compounding effect here in Nova Scotia, unfortunately. And we have been seeing, especially when it came to Tidal Bay, like year over year, just growth and excitement. And coming out of COVID, we're getting the wind, behind our wings again. And even just last year alone, I think I was asked to speak in the US, like 6 times just about Tidal Bay. Great reviews out of Europe, when it comes to Tidal Bay sparkling and Chardonnay and elsewhere. And it's unfortunate because we are going to see low inventory as an impact for the next foreseeable future.
Right. So I think, does that mean when a customer wants to support local and help the industry, is it that much more important to buy direct from the wineries this year?
I would love that, right? Like it's if we can support and buy direct from the wineries, from the grape, from the wine growers, that's always ideal. Not everyone has access to the wineries, so there's Bishops and the NSLC. But if you can, a lot of the wineries offer, shipping, especially within the province. That you can find free shipping, and they'll ship directly to your door. And if you can support and buy direct, that would be greatly appreciated.
So going away from the kind of the negative, and we know that it's going to be a challenge for a couple of years, but it's something really positive happening next week. So we'll start with Haley. What's the event we have next week?
Yeah, next week we have the 12 Tides launch. So yes, there's 14 tidal days, but everyone knows the name 12 Tides. So it works. So we're going to stick to it. And there's the 12 Tides launch at Cable Wharf. We have 2 sessions. The evening session, the 7 p.m. session, is sold out, but I believe there might be, I haven't checked the website recently, but we did have some tickets left for the later afternoon session. and of course, encourage anyone to come out. If you can't make it on June 9th, please come out to Wolfville. Amy Savoury, the lovely Amy Savoury, is definitely our go-to and ambassador, really, for so many things that in our local industry, but she will have an education series going in the town of Wolfville. We have a yurt set up in the waterfront park, and we'll be having some tasting sessions and educational series for all things Tidal Bay.
Yeah, so Amy, tell us a little more about what you do at these events in Wolfville, and what's the date of these again?
So that's the following weekend. The exact dates, let me just make sure I say it right: 16th, 17th, and the 18th.
Perfect. So tell us a little more about those events, Amy. What are you going to talk about? How, other than Tidal Bay, obviously, but what's the focus?
Yeah, with the plan. Well, last year was the first year that we did the Tidal Bay events at the Wolfville waterfront, and really, I couldn't think of a more spectacular setting and backdrop to taste Tidal Bay. As the name is influenced by the highest tides in the world, and we're right beside the tidal Midas Basin coming in as it ebbs and flows, right, every day, and sipping and smelling Tidal Bay. So we're in a yurt, which is super cool, and we'll do a little bit of an intro, and we got some interactive things that will happen. And then what we'll do is we'll highlight and taste our way through 7 of the 14 Tidal Bays. So we'll see half of the Tidal Bays in one session. And then there are 3 food pairings. So there's 3 small bites that we'll experience throughout the session. And each one of those small bites will be paired with 2 bookends of styles of Tidal Bay. So the guest really has the opportunity to not only try the wines and see them side by side, but really experience them with food and see how they change, right? And they have the opportunity to kind of taste 2 glasses to see which one works best to them with that particular food bite. So we'll do that 3 food bites, each paired with 2 Tidal Bays. And then we will start with an intro Tidal Bay as we kind of get people's questions answered about not only Tidal Bay as an appellation wine and what it means for Nova Scotia, but how this new vintage is different from perhaps some of the last vintages that they've had.
Amazing. So I guess so you'll see some recipes come on saltwire.com. I was making one this morning with a crispy cod with a creamy jalapeno sauce. That's going to be great with an aromatic Tidal Bay. So how do we find tickets, those last few tickets to the event next week, or tickets to Amy's event? Where can we go?
Yeah, you can go to winesofnovascotia.ca, and you'll look at the top tab. There's a Tidal Bay, get to know Tidal Bay, and just click onto that, and there's the Tidal Bay launch, and within that you'll see all the listed events. Through that week as well, June 9th to the 16th, you'll see wineries too will have, they'll put in Tidal Bay at the forefront of everything they do. So please come out to the valley, not just in June, but and through Tidal Bay, but please come out throughout the summer. And but if you are wanting all things Tidal Bay, you can make a day of it or a weekend of it. Come see Amy, and then go visit some of wineries that are your favorites and wineries that you haven't experienced yet. And hopefully the weather is good, and everyone can come out and enjoy the valley.
Amazing. So thanks, Amy. Thanks, Haley. And remember, go to your local winery, buy direct from them, buy Tidal Bay, but it's not just Tidal Bay. We have lots of great wines made in Nova Scotia, so go support your local. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.